Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. I wanted to make this video, which is kind of like my initial reaction to interacting with GPT, which if you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with what GPT is. I just recently discovered it. It's an online text-based AI that uses purely like a database of linguistic information. From what I understand, it's canned, and it answers your questions, and it's uncanny, really. It's really it invokes awe in me, really. But it invokes awe in me, like how it's working. I work with computers, I work with automation, so the level of technology that's at play there is just fucking bewilders my mind. But I'm not surprised that it exists. You know, ever since I was a kid, I was born at like the dawn of the technological revolution. And I've just watched technology spiral and spiral and spiral and spiral. And every time something new comes out, in the beginning, it was like, holy shit, like this is revolutionary. But as things come out now, it's kind of like, yeah, it could be better. It could be better. I expected that. And that's kind of how I feel with this, because we've had very simple text, linguistic based AI, like in the autofill in Google or in the search engines where it guesses what you're saying. Like, we've kind of had these similar things happening, and we're just kind of watching it evolve. But it is creepy to see how quickly it works and how much it sounds like a human. And you can pretty much now see in real time how a bot can write English. And it really just, for me, it just says like online life is like in its end game. If you want to experience this reality with any degree of authenticity, you need to go offline, because when you're online, and it's only going to get better and better with bots and AI generated imagery and deepfake video and shit. The only way for you to be 100% certain that you're actually talking to who you're thinking you're talking to is to be standing right the fuck in front of them with no technology between you and them. And even further in the future than when there's cybernetics and fucking robots and shit, but that's a ways out. That's a long ways out yet. But right now, the online game in its authenticity state, it's at its end game, man. It's at its fucking end game. I remember it was probably like 2007 when I first got Facebook, and it was kind of like an online digital telephone book, and it was really, it was cool. And there was no ads, there was no, it was just authentic people putting pictures of themselves, sharing their lives, and that was it. There was no clout, there was no well, there was trolling and hating, but not like today's standards. It was something different. It was more of like old school 2000s 90s type shit that went on to the internet, but then it fucking, as we got older and the younger generation grew into it, it spawned and morphed into the online world. Today is not very pleasant. I'm sure anybody online watching this could attest to that. It kind of made me think about that too, like the consequences or the repercussions of having AI like this involved in our day-to-day lives, specifically with how I just described the social media and the impact that that's had on our culture and our society and the individual psyche. And I would say that from the dawn of social media till now, there's been a severe, most people would refer to it as a degeneration in humans and culture. But really the way I see it is, I see it from two examples. One is you found the thermostat and you just cranked it up all the way, and it was like, holy fuck, it's getting hot in here, and you got to learn how to play with it. But first you got to deal with the heat because you turn it up too high in the beginning. Or if you get on a motorbike and you crank the throttle and it goes whoa, and it fucking throws up between your legs, and you're like, holy shit, you just hit the gas too hard. You didn't know how much power you had. You didn't know what it was that you were dealing with. And I think that's kind of like what we've done with specifically social media, but really technology as a whole. And people are got the carpet ripped out from underneath them, and we don't know how to deal with the power that we have right now. And it's gonna, instead of it ramping up and curving and giving us time to come to terms with it and make amendments, it's gonna ramp up and then fucking skyrocket and ramp up again with all this AI. Because once that AI is online and it's online in the internet in real time, and once it's developed enough, like this shit is way smarter than you, way smarter than all of us, and it thinks probably 75,000 times faster than a human. I just made that number up. It will be able to, like, in real time, look at the entire population, and it'll see your facial expression in the camera on your phone when you're looking at content, and know from little twerks and tweaks in your eyes and your cheeks and your teeth, it's gonna know how you're reacting, and it could feed you information in such a way as to how you're reacting and doing the whole planet at the same time. It's a fucking potent, powerful era that we're entering. My belief about what life is and what we're experiencing, I use the term belief from kind of like the Terence McKenna point of view, where I don't really believe anything. I'm not really sold on this reality entirely. I'm not sure what's going on. So for me to state that I believe anything is kind of a fucking heavy presumption. I don't really believe anything, but what I believe is that we are all individually nodes of Godhead, or universal consciousness, or source consciousness, or code, or whatever it is. And I believe that there's an etheric code that is operating the universe, and the universe is just operating on this invisible code, and certain conditions will cause certain effects. Where is that code? In the ether, in the Akasha records, like, I don't know what the fuck, man. But being one who works with computers and coding, it makes sense to me, because you can kind of see it. So what's my point of bringing that up? I believe that my life, I think the individual human life you are endowed with a certain level of suffering and monotony and boredom and strife, and things aren't always supposed to be good for you, because you are a node gaining an experience in order to upload it for the universe to understand itself, for God to understand itself, however whatever terminology you want to use for this. It's kind of like all the red blood cells in your body living their lives, but really you could say that it's you, but they're all individual little units, but they don't think about themselves as individual units. They just go about living their life, right? So I think that's what makes a person unique. And why am I bringing this? What does this have to do with what I was just talking about? I think once we as humans mastered the plant kingdom, and we started growing plants for the way that we saw them in their perfect form, or in a such a way that was of most use to us, we grew them very straight and very identical, right? And I'm starting to notice something similar with younger people online. It seems like everyone, there's these Gen Z platonic forms that everyone's trying to achieve. And there's a lot of similarities in mannerisms in the way people talk, and maybe it's just an online presence thing, but I see so few people actually interacting outside anymore the way before, like when I was a kid. I will ramble about this forever. The sun is going down, my camera's getting a little dark, so I'm going to pull it on this one. Peace. Thank you. Love is the law. Love under